start with you.
What's going on? It's Malcolm Xavier, Malcolm_X. Currently over at WHUR. Still doing Joy Club parties. Got another new party called Wild World Jams. We just had it in. Just moving around the city.
Okay, Charles?
How you doing? My name is Charles. Most people call me Chuck. I'm Keys Open Doors 81. Basically, I can tell you I'm a creative consultant. I've done everything from music management to doing events to working with brands. I'm all over the place.
Gotcha. So
Alright, I'm
David?
Jay Kyrie. You call me by Sid, SID. Photographer for about 10, 15 years, media manager for New Impressions. Recently became one of the DMV 35 and 35, so yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know what I mean? Like, we appreciate that for you, and we
Thank
love
you.
that for you,
Thank
you know what I mean? So, like, of course, I know who you guys are, right? Because I've been here a long, long time. But I think, like, there are some people who might not know exactly, right? So, Sid, starting with you, right? When you kind of look at your evolution in the city, your evolution in terms of your craft, photography, all the work that you put in, what's your view in terms of, like, feeling underrated?
Ooh. Yeah, because I always thought, I ain't gonna lie, I thought for a while I was, because I always thought to myself I was like, when it came to like top 10 in the DMV, I thought I was one of them for a long time. But then I also had to realize, alright, I really don't need to care about that, because that's not the end goal. The end goal is like, we're allowed making an overall impact in the DMV and having like my art outlet us for the next generation to see. Like, when I've been doing presses now, I look and take pictures. I've seen pictures of Junkyard, for instance, back in the 80s. And that's where that comes from. So now, like, when we get old and next generation comes, oh, they had it up back. They've been back in Babylon, back in Throw Social, all that. So that's me.
Okay. So you feel like you were underrated and now you finally starting to kind of like...
100%. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah, I
Like,
thought, because even when I was working with Wale and all that other stuff, I thought like, alright, I'm like, why am I getting overlooked? But then it was like, maybe it's not my time. I'm big on divine timing. So as I gotten older, because at that time I was like 23. You know?
Right.
20, when you're young, you like, alright, I'm
supposed
doing
to
all
be getting
this.
my credit. Like, yeah, where's my credit?
What, you know what I'm saying? But
For sure.
as now I'm 33, it's like, alright, it's all about divine timing. It's a bigger picture to try and get recognized. You need to like pay it forward and help uplift the next generation.
Okay.
So that's what I'm doing now. I've been helping other cameramen and women like just find their way.
I got you. And like, kind of like, when did you like have that epiphany, right? Because when you look at like that 10-year gap, when do you feel like you came into the realization of like,
Pandemic, when it sat me down. Because I ain't telling nobody, before the pandemic, I was going on a world tour and it's just like the door closed. And I was like, oh, alright, what do I do now? It was
right.
like, and then I just had to like sit back and just reevaluate. And like, it was a bigger picture than just like fame.
Right.
Because I was chasing it at one point. I'm not gonna say a lot to you. I was chasing it, but it's like, there's bigger things than fame.
For sure.
Way bigger things than fame.
For sure. Chuck, you tend to be more low key, right? That's kind of like a part of your shtick, right? And also you do like brand management, consulting, you work with a lot of artists. I know a lot of artists who've like, you know, kind of been able to like learn from you and grow because of you. When you look at like what you might tell an artist in that kind of situation who feels underrated, what's your advice in a situation like that?
Just do the work. I mean, so many people are so focused on who knows what, but long as when you're in those rooms and the people that need to know. Everyone in this room right now, the people that need to know what everyone does. That's what matters. I think so many people in our city, it's all about ego. So, depending on where you're from, I could be uptown and somebody could say, you the man.
Right.
But then in Southwest, somebody, I don't know who Chuck is, or I don't know who whatever. So it's just really all based on perspective. When I was younger, I've always been one to more or less, the work is going to prove everything.
For sure.
So that's why my name is Keys. Keys are always going to open doors, no matter what happens. So I'm always going to be in movement, whether I decide to do work today, whether I decide not to do anything for 2 years from now. I think it's just more or less, you know, just being comfortable with being who I am. And I think in D.C., we're all good at being politicians. So everyone knows how to play the role. So
Good talk.
I know his work. I know his work. I know your work. I might have talked to him 3 times in life, but I know his work.
Right.
So I respect his work. Sometimes people not giving credit because they feel like if I give him credit, it it deflects
dims
from
my
who I
light.
am. You
Yeah, it
understand?
dims my light.
And I think
somewhat.
in DC, that's really one thing I'm really trying to get people to worry about. So they'll tell me, well, you should have got credit for this. The people that paid me gave me credit. I'm cool with that. You know what I mean?
For sure. And I really I think I relate to that so much because I feel like, I think when I was doing music, like it felt like it was newer then, right? And it was kind of like just moving into that space where like rap was like a more respected thing here, right? Because at first it wasn't, right? Like nobody respected the rappers coming out of the city, and then all of a sudden it felt like that was starting to happen. And I think like there were so many rappers out of that era, like you look at the Chaz Frenches and like the Nucci who had to deal with Motown at that point in time, and it's like, man, like this shit should be happening for us by now, you know what I mean? But I think like when I started to find ways to make money off of it, all that other shit was like irrelevant to me. And I think that's what artists forget. Like, it's not enough. It's a lot of artists that have name and notoriety and they that broke. Like, you need to do the work so that you have something 5 years from now. Like, that notoriety, it fades for everybody, right? Drake was the biggest rapper in the world for over a decade, and now he feels like a pariah in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's important to, like, know what you're getting out of something too. Like you said, like the people that paid me gave me the credit. And I think like that's what I learned. Like when I started to be able to make money from music, which for me was like doing voiceovers and cartoons and commercials, like all that other stuff like didn't matter anymore. It's like, you famous nigga, but you broke. Like I'm just saying, like it doesn't, if you're not getting paid from this shit, like it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. And so I feel like the work is really what's going to be able to like separate you from the people who have a name and haven't really been able to like expand on that name in any real and tangible way.
But I think you said it best. I think these 10 square miles are a gift and a curse. Because everyone in this area, you could be the man here, and no one knows you in New York, New Jersey, Philly. And I'm like, why aren't you moving out? Why aren't you not spreading your wings? Why aren't you trying to make a name for yourself outside of your neighborhood, your block, the club that you go to? We sometimes get consumed because it's a very small area.
For sure.
So it's like, I'm a celebrity here, and I always tell people, go somewhere else. I challenge you to go somewhere else and build that same fan base.
For sure.
So.
And you know what the crazy thing is like, I think we think of it as like the creatives that particular issue tends to be a problem with it, but it's not. It's the athletes in this area. They don't want to go other places and expand talent. Like, I've seen a lot of basketball players. I went to high school with a guy who like had an opportunity to go to like a big D1, and he didn't want to leave home, and so he ended up going to an HBCU, and what might have been an NBA career turned into like some G League shit. And of course, you know, we like 10% of the NBA, so it's nothing. We always good when it comes to that. But it's a lot of people that like feel that way, and it's not just creatives. That I think that is a mentality of this area as a whole. And people think it's just the creators, but it's not. It's a lot of people that have opportunity to do things outside of the city, and they don't because it's comfortable here. And also I think because like there's a little bit of an elitism that comes from this area. We feel like we're cooler than everybody else. Like we feel like we're a little flyer than everybody else. Mind moving a little faster than everybody else. And so you tend to feel like you're better than these other places. When in reality, like, nah, if you touch some grass somewhere else, it's going to expand your mind and expand your palate in a way that's going to help you see the world a little more clearly so that you can, you know, gain that knowledge and grow. But, you know, what do I know? Don't listen to me, man. Don't listen to me.
You saying what we say. I mean, you know, it's I think the best way to say it is that we're evolving. We're growing as a city.
I agree.
I love my city, but at times I don't love it. So I take breaks from it. I go other places. Just because I think sometimes you need to regroup.
For sure.
So for me, sometimes it's too much. Like, I don't want to hear about what's going on your block sometimes. Because my mind can't be there, if that makes sense. But then, I look at artists and I'm like, why y'all beefing? You know what I mean? It's too much money in this.
Yeah.
So then I always tell them, like, you know you can get a deal here, here, and here. And there's so many artists that we haven't named that got deals that no one will ever know. And they getting checks and they got paid. And everyone's looking at it like the lottery, if that makes sense. Like everybody thinks this is a long shot. But when I make it, I'm good. But most of y'all getting a $20,000 check and y'all blew it. You know what I mean? So when you look at it and then you understand the music game and then you understand Do you know you have to audit the game after you get a deal? Because
sure.
9 times they don't know. And it's just weird. It's
Yeah,
tricky.
overcharged crazy. I tell people all the time, like, because I'm an accountant, right? So I tell people all the time, like, if you don't know your business, a record deal is $1 million loan with a 26% interest rate. You could get a better interest rate in the bank.
Or you can get a job and actually do better.
For sure.
So I tell people, do you love it? Because if you love it, I'm with it.
Right.
And it don't matter if you're not the most talented. If you really love it, you probably gonna win.
For
'Cause
sure.
in this day and age, you don't have
You
to
don't have
be
to
the
be
most
talented
talented
anymore.
You just
For
gotta
sure.
have that effort.
I think if you
know?
have personality,
Absolutely.
like, that's all it would take these days. Like, you don't need to be good at it. Like,
You gotta be confident.
shit. Confident as fuck.
Yeah, you
Shit.
gotta be
JJ Fish was a star, my nigga, and was the worst rapper singer.
I love him still.
I'm telling you.
Because of the confidence that he
The
had.
confidence. That nigga thought he was
Yeah.
good at it. He was like, no, I'm Luther Vandross. I don't care what you niggas think. And moved a million views. Like, millions and millions. Like, you don't need to be good at something. You just need to, like, know who you are. I think this is a city where, like, I don't know if we know who we are. I feel like the identity of the city is changing. And I don't know if it's evolving or devolving because I'm not really on the scene anymore. But I do want to get your take on that, though.
I'll say, from the kids that are outside, you can't tell them nothing. Like the ones that's really outside, like the ones that call me and like stay dangerous. No, I don't want to talk stay dangerous, but that's just not where my mind is. Like
Right.
I'm 43 years old,
Right.
so staying dangerous don't work for me.
43? Well, you look good, what?
But you but I'm comfortable saying that. It's dudes around me that don't want to say that, and I'm like, you still young nigga competing with youngins in Rose Bar.
You still
You
Jim
understand
Jones
what I'm
with your
saying?
shit.
Like, you gotta know, when I go to these places, I'll go once a year. OG is good to see. I don't need to be there every time because, no offense, that's not my generation anymore. So if one of them, the homies call me out, I'll show love, go for a couple hours. But I'm not gonna be there every week because at a point you just look corny. Like, you gotta like evolve. I feel like people need to evolve in what they're doing.
Yeah,
So like,
I'm in the go-go's 3 nights a week, so I see it.
but it's work. You're working.
Yeah,
Yeah, I work, but
But when
I see the wines in there, and you know what I'm saying?
But-
I see it. I see it all the time.
But see, that's what I mean. It's like in the city, you get so caught up in who you are that you forget that you're getting older. You still doing the same thing with 20-year-olds. Like, I'm not trying to hang out with 20, and there's nothing wrong with them.
I don't care what Jim Jones telling y'all. You don't want to be him.
But you understand.
You don't want to be that nigga. Like, I don't want to be like 50 and
Right.
still like I'm a old young nigga. Like the young niggas embrace me. Like, nah, bro, you like they.
But I get
Are
it.
they laughing with you or at you?
But I get it because here, it makes you feel comfortable. Because money will make somebody think you better. Money will, the corniest people who have money will feel like they can do whatever just because they got money. You know what I mean? Money will make you feel like,
Always been that.
you know what I mean? Because I might not be I got it, so I'm going to go wherever I want to go.
That money that you call Big Bro automatically.
Oh, because you paying
Between
for it.
that and being famous, hey, what's up, Big Bro? I'm like, you know,
Yeah.
And that's
hey,
why I
you got
say-
some money.
Yeah.
Big Bro.
But that's the thing. Like what Young Thug used to say. Like you caught it or you bought it. Like it's a difference. You know what I mean? Like did you earn that respect from them or like you got a couple of dollars, you throwing it around, and they know you willing to do that, and so like you know they trying to get close.
You gotta watch out for that too.
I'm telling
I mean,
you,
they'll
on every
backdoor you
level.
quick, you know?
Man,
But that's why men respect men. I respect everybody. People that I'm cool with, they know. I'm cool with you because I'm cool, not because I need nothing from you.
Facts.
The youngest that I'm cool with, I'll tell them, I don't like how you moving. Only thing I can do is try to guide you, but you gonna do what you want to do.
I know
And I think-
it's a 5, so I tell my little brothers all the time. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta chill out sometimes.
I think that's
he
important.
moves with like Miles. I'm like, bro, you can't do that. Just all trip like your brother is like a person. You know what I'm saying? So you can't. That falls back on me. It's a domino effect. You gotta like.
But they
So,
know. They know.
no, he knows 100%. He learned.
And
It's
I-
important to provide guidance to these
Yeah.
kids, though. Like I feel like that's
Or you
something
didn't think
that's,
before you actually.
that
do
I feel
shit.
like my generation is moving more into is being willing to like sit these youngins down and have those conversations because like that's what's missing. And I feel like that's what's missing from a lot of the guys that I came up with is like not having guidance from that older generation of guys who maybe we thought were cool or we thought were fly, or we thought had it. Like, nah, they come out here and they stunt stun on us, but like put some guidance into that situation. Like be the brother, be the family that like the kids in this city need, so that they grow, so that they do evolve, so that they become better. Because all of that reflects on all of us as a city. You know what I mean? If it's a bunch of stupid shit happening out here, nobody's gonna say that those 15 people who cool as fuck but not doing that stupid shit still got the game. Like, nah, you just look at the city like it's a bunch of crazy shit going on out there. Which is, I think, how a lot of people see us now. You know what I mean? Like, didn't we shoot a Commanders player like 2 years ago on 8th Street? Like, come on, man. Like, tighten up. We gotta do better.
It's a lot with that, though. The resources, what kids don't have.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So it's so many different things for DC to change that have happened to make the city the way they are. They know what they're doing.
I think that's a big part of it.
I mean?
It's
so,
like, I think we need the guys and the women in position to be able to reach back and provide that guidance, because we don't have the resources that we should have. Or maybe we do have the resources and they're just not being properly allocated. That's a different conversation, but you know what I mean? Like,
kids not at rec centers no more.
I'm telling you. I don't like, I mean, I remember that when I was a young man.
Like, summer jobs?
Yeah.
We stayed in the rec. Like, that was what you had.
We got summer jobs in the city. And even when I was coming up, like when I was in high school and college, like, you go get a job at All Days. Kurt gave me one of my first jobs. So, like, I mean, you had that. You know what I mean? Like, those OGs who were, like, trying to be better, trying to grow, trying to evolve as men, trying to turn things over, were giving us opportunities, gave us our first jobs, and exposed us to a lot of things as a result of that. You know what I mean? We need to be able to do that. Like, it's important to reach back. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how you grow. For sure. You know what I mean? Malcolm, I want to get to you. I know you think I left you out. You know what I'm saying?
Wait for my time.
You're somebody who is still, like, you know, really within the realm of, like, what's happening in the city. Like, when you look at kind of, like, where you started as a rapper, right? Working with, like, Grammy Award-winning producers to moving into DJing now. I know, right? We can get into that shit. But, like, when you look at kind of, like, where you started as, like, a rapper, right? And then how you've moved into DJing and how that's evolved into really, like, controlling some of the scenes. Yes, he was. He's a fucking rapper. Yes, he was.
Crazy.
Yes, he was.
Wow.
Make sure I throw that out there for y'all. He sure the hell was. Make sure y'all go look him up on SoundCloud. So look. So when you look at, like, kind of where you started there to, like, where you are now as far as, like, how the scene has evolved in DC, like, what's your view of, like, the change from then to now?
I would go further back than being a rapper to, like, I don't know if you remember when I had HESB.
Yep, High NSB with JD, yep.
Yeah, so I think from there to now, and just looking at the scene and how things have, you know, kind of coalesced, I think things have gotten a lot better because there's a lot more access to things that we just felt like there was not access to back in the day.
Agreed.
You know, we felt like, oh, there's not enough recording studios to get to back in the day.
Facts.
It's a recording studio in every other city
Or
now,
you could just do it yourself.
or you could do it yourself at home. We felt like back then it just wasn't really much of a scene musically. Now there is, you know what I'm saying? Even if it's not physical, you know, we did have like
You can create one now.
well, I mean, a lot of stuff is online. Like, shout out to like YB and Corday, who's like one of the, I don't want to call him a YN, but he's a young person who, you know, brought people together online and figured out how to connect those dots. So I think overall the scene is better, and just also for me being a radio DJ, we're out of the era where I can hop online and people just are mad at the radio and stuff like that. I think people have, you know, at least gotten a couple of opportunities to say, you know what, people are trying to engage. There are people in the scene that are actually trying to bring the scene up. It's not just there's nothing available. So from, you know, the clothing perspective, things have gotten way better. We do need our own area boutiques. Like, we don't have it up against the wall no more.
Yeah.
And
even like as far as like our clothing lines, like there were so many options back then, and now there's like it's much more minimal. I mean, we love museum, you know what I mean? We love Dreams of Triumph, and we love Keys Open Doors. I should have worn my hat today, Charles, my bad. But like, you know, we love what's available from the city, and I do feel like we have like a different touch when it comes to things like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like there were so many options. Like, we were all we wore back in the day. You know what I mean? You had
Exactly.
Kunu, like, you know what I mean? Like, and now it's like we used to be like, nah, we only wearing us. And now it's like, you know, designer this and
that's cool too.
And there's nothing wrong with that, you know what I mean?
It's
I
cool
gotta,
too,
you know, we love our streetwear, we love our designer shit. But I just miss a time where like we only cared about what we had here.
D&B,
Yeah, like I miss that time. Like that know what I'm saying? Shout out to Holly and SP, man.
That
was a dope time, man. Like, that was back when we had the wood Jesus Peace chains and when it was baked G-Shocks and, you know what I mean? Like, a hell of an era, man. Like, that was an important time. I think an important time, too, in terms of, like finding your cool, you know what I mean? And, like, establishing culture in the city, right? Because every generation helps to evolve that, right? What does that look like? What does that feel like? What does it dress like? Where does it hang out? What does it sound like? Every generation evolves that particular conversation. And I think, like, I just missed the time where, like, the conversation as far as, like, what mattered was all about us. It was go-go bands, is what you listened to. It was Vusi and All Days and Shooters and Madness is what you wore. And
like back in high school,
yeah.
The question was, what go you going to? Literally.
Yeah.
That was literally the question every Friday. What go you want? The CFE, Onyx, Tide, the Pearl. You had the options back then.
But it feels like it was also more organized back then.
Oh yeah,
Like collectively, like.
Yeah. I agree. And then also, you know, Go-Go got banned in PG County, so that kind of took away from us too.
When you look at, like, you know, because you're running, like, Joy Luck, and then you're always, you know, Joy Club, not bad, and then New Impressions, you know what I'm saying, that you're there all the time. I think when I was coming up as an artist, it felt like there was more community that was, like, accessible, like, when you were trying to, like, kind of build your artistry. When you look at kind of, like, the nature of what music looks like specifically from here, do you feel like that community exists on any level, like, you know what I'm saying, at the level that you're at? Or do you feel like it's pockets of it now, but it's not really like something that's expanded?
It's there, but it's what I notice is once people get so deep into those communities, they don't technically make it out. So it's just like, all right, say you have a studio community, everybody goes to the same studio. A lot of people will congregate and create a great community out in there, but the actual music that makes it out, it might be like only one or two artists that you end up knowing about and finding out like, oh yeah, they're all from this studio and you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. So I think the actual kind of, I don't want to say branding, but just outreach of it could be a little bit, you know, better.
What's your suggestion in that? Like when you say the branding and outreach could be better, what does that look like for you?
I don't know, because for me, when I was making music, I was doing it by myself, and to his point, like, you know, somebody getting like a $20,000 check, I probably spent like $10,000 just on one project run alone, and I had a job. So
for sure.
it was, but for me, it was like I knew just from traveling city to city, you got to do the basic things. You got to hand-to-hand CDs. You got, and that was in an area where you still had to do that. I stood out, had outside of Trelectro, passed out like.
What a time.
What a time. Man, taking me back, for sure.
500 some odd CDs, most of them probably ended up in the trash. But it was still the element of like, you still got to make a physical touch with people. And I think now because people rely so much on the internet that they kind of still don't do the other side of it.
I agree with that completely. And I think we've said that on several shows where like people have these huge collectives online and then they go outside and can't sell tickets to a show. Right? Like, because you're not able to reach people in a real and a tangible way. And I think we have, especially like maybe some of the newer generation has forgotten the necessity of being able to connect and being able to get people to like you. I think like likability has really gone out of the window. Like, can you step in a room with strangers and create conversation? You know what I'm saying? Like, I do that with ease. And I think that's not always because of like who I am as a person. I think it's a lot of practice. You know what I'm saying? Because I come from a generation where you had to do that. You did have to hand in hand. And you did have to do, you know, A3C when you went out of town to get those opportunities. And you did have to do like a bunch of open gyms and a bunch of open mics in other cities. So you had to learn how to be personable. You had to learn how to be likable. You had to learn how to be tough too. Like, cause you get a lot of like reception that's not great in some of those cities too, right? So you gotta learn how to like stand on your own too and be able to defend yourself without throwing your fist sometimes too. Like, can you talk your way out of something? You know what I'm saying? So I think for me, like when I look at a lot of this generation, I think like that's what's missing. It's like you don't know how to like connect. Like having, you know, 50,000 followers online is great, but can you sell a ticket?
That's the
Most
catch.
Yeah.
Most can't.
Most can't. And most think somebody else is supposed to come in and help them do it for you.
For sure.
Versus like, you know what, let me go talk to the venue and actually take a loss so then I can go and circle back and figure out, all right, what didn't work.
And also build that relationship.
Right.
Right? That's the other thing that you forget. When you don't know how to, I think, maneuver in those social situations, you also forget that the benefit of a great social interaction is continued social interactions. It's the opportunity to build relationship with a venue, to create opportunity for yourself, to establish a longer relationship, to make some money.
Right.
So that you can build that, you know what I mean? But if you don't know how to build relationship, right, take one loss on one show so that the venue can see what you're able to do and then give you another opportunity and then another. I think like that was the benefit when I was doing it. Like we used to sell out the Fillmore, right? Because they knew we could sell tickets, right? I can get 300-400 people to come out just to see me. So like the venue might not be used to this kind of artistry, but they know that I can sell the ticket, and so they'll give me another opportunity to do it. And I feel like that's what's missing in this era. Like, yeah, like you got a lot of followers, and that's lit. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you can't like hand to hand build relationships so that you can create something that's going to grow overall, it doesn't like that's not going to go anywhere. And popularity fades. You need to be able to like sit in a room with people and build something tangible. But that's just my opinion on it. When y'all look at, and this is for all of you, right? When you look at like your journeys as creatives, right? And kind of like the ebbs and flows of it, the successes and the failures, how do you feel like you've been able to deal with the moments where you felt like, why isn't this happening for me yet?
There's two ways. You can either continue to grind it out until something works, or you got to take a step back and say, you know what, I've been doing this the same way and it's not working. And as what's the definition of insanity? At a certain point, you keep doing the same thing, expecting different results.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you really have those two main options. There's plenty of others that you can choose, but at a certain point, you do have to take a step back and look at yourself and look at what you're trying to do and like say, all right, what's not working? Some people, I think we had an era where, at least online, it felt like, okay, if it's not working for me, I can always blame the error.
They would.
the people that it's not, you know what I'm saying, it's not connecting with is like, that's the reason why. And for a period of time, that worked for some people. Like, it worked to get notoriety, it worked to create a name, it worked to create beef, to say like, oh, okay, yeah, they not supporting me, X, Y, and Z, da-da-da-da. That's why I'm not winning. You know what I'm saying? And instead of like looking at the quality of the product or looking at, you know what I'm saying, how much you're actually putting into your craft. But I think at a certain point, you do have to have that reflection of self.
Gotcha.
That is the most important thing.
I agree with that. I'm going to let you talk, Charles, but I do have a question for you specifically, Sid, right? Because I think that Malcolm raised a good point. I think that, generally speaking, right, it is easy to look at the barriers of this area and say, well, this is why I'm not winning, right? But I have heard you say some things with regard to some of those barriers, right? So when you look at, like, some of those barriers that you feel like are more tangible, right? People, things, entities, whatever, that you know, like, because I think there's one thing to say, no matter what, it all falls on you. And I agree with that 100%. No matter what is in your way, like what God has for you is for you. And if you put in the work, nobody stops it, right? And sometimes you do have to change the method by which you're choosing to maneuver. But that doesn't change the fact that barriers do exist, right? Like, you need to learn to work around them. But they do exist, right? When you look at some of the barriers that you personally have encountered, like, what's your perspective on the barrier itself?
I always had this one barrier because I'm from Virginia. So I always felt like Virginia never got that look. But most people don't understand. Like, I went to McKinley. I graduated from DCPS. So I maneuvered through all that shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it was once people found out I was from Virginia, they tried to like, and it was like, I know everything, I know everybody, I know all these things. I connect with the right people. At one point, I was an event photographer. So there's a person that's sitting right here that gave me a big opportunity. That man over there, I did Joy Club, and then we did Alice. We did Alice, and then like that was like the pandemic, and that's when things started like click. Cause like not to my own. Like my quality of photos, like in like event space, was like unheard of. Like so, like the way my pictures look at me, like this shit like paintings. Like this is insanity, and it was every week, and to the point where people were actually coming to clubs just to get a photo. Like,
Talk your shit. I love it.
It was free, so it was like, all right.
Shit, man.
That's what
Like that, and like even like on now when I'm doing purchases in Babylon on Wednesday, people roll out like, oh, like I missed a whole month on purpose because I was getting my mental. Like people were like, bro, where the fuck are you at? Like I literally came from Delaware to come see you. I'm like, huh? What? I'm like, yeah. So the barriers are there, but like I knew like anything worth having is not gonna be easy to get. So it was like I knew like, and also my grandfather was telling me every day is not gonna be sunny, so when rain comes sunshine. So I just knew like I have to just do this shit.
Facts.
I had to buckle up and like, all right, if you really want this and you really want this, you got to do it.
For sure.
So, yeah.
Charles, what's your take?
He kind of said it. He literally just said it.
Yeah, 'cause being from Virginia is definitely like, yeah. And I always.
It's a thing.
It is a thing, but it's like, 'cause even my friends, I got friends who are creators in VA, and they look at me like, oh yeah, if you did it, I could do it. And that's like, all right, bet. Like, it's not hard, bro. You just gotta keep on going.
I think that's it. You just keep
You just gotta keep on going. I think once I started taking pictures with Commanders, but like last year, that's when I was like, all right, bro. Like, you're one of them ones. Like, once I got that phone call, like, all right, about this season, I was like, oh. That was the whole thing. I was like, all right, the barrier's gone. Like the barrier's gone. Like I kicked the door down finally. That's when I was like, all right, I kicked it off the fucking hinges. That's when I knew for sure. So, yeah.
I feel that. So like, barriers exist. We know that. We need to maneuver around them. We know that, right? But I think that there is a mental health piece, specifically with Black men, that we very rarely get into, that we very rarely discuss. And so I think like when you guys look at your journeys, right, what is the importance of knowing who you are, right, and acknowledging some of your flaws or some of the issues that you may be encountering from a mental health standpoint? How does that like push that process forward, if at all?
I think it depends on the person and where they're at in their life, personally. For me, I've had to take the past couple of years, like losing my father, losing my aunt, still going through a bankruptcy. There were portions of myself where it was just like, all right, cool. After all of this loss, like what is really left of me? You know what I'm saying? And what am I really trying to get to and what am I really trying to go for? Tons of therapy, tons of isolation, tons of losing friends, people, like all of that, to the point of just like, all right, cool. Well, what is really left for me to mentally keep going? There is some element of like the mental toughness to kind of say, you know what, like just stick it out and stick it through. But at a certain point, you have to admit that becomes toxic and unhealthy, and you have to start to take a break. Now, financially, does that always work? No. You know what I'm saying? Like me taking time away when I retired from DJing, like felt great mentally, financially. Hurt, you know what I'm saying? But it was the best thing for me to kind of do at that period of time, because I had to really get myself straight and realign myself to figure out, all right, cool. If I were to go back into this area, into this field, I know where I got to and how far I got where my mental was not straight and where I was just wild and doing whatever the heck I wanted to do. Now that I kind of know and have gathered myself a little bit better, it's just like, all right, cool. Technically, I should do 10 times better than what I did before, but that only comes with age and experience and being able to do that. For somebody like me, now it's like I think we said, before, it's my job now to let the next generation of people who's coming up to know that, so they navigate, so they don't have to make those same pitfalls and make those same mistakes. I think as men, we should be doing that in general, but that just does not happen all the time because we're all going through it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So. And
I think it's like, sometimes it's difficult to communicate like even the wins, right? Even once you've made it out of something, I've found that a lot of Black men feel like that people don't care about their struggles. And so like, I survived this. I'm proud that I survived this. I made it through. But don't nobody want to hear my story. And so you just don't tell people. And that's not true. Especially with me. Right, baby?
Or if you
right.
tell people your struggles, I'm like, bro, you're doing this, that, and third. Why do you feel that way?
They don't get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Bro, I go through it all the time. Like, right, you went with your commanders. You did this while you did it. Why are you feeling like, bro, nigga, I'm stressing. Like, what was that like?
Right.
Because people only see your wins.
Yeah.
That's all they know.
Yeah.
People will judge you on every win. And
then-
not know how many losses you
right.
took.
Right.
To get to that one
And then
win.
when you,
And it's
and
because
then when
they
you celebrate
want
the
you to
win,
win
yeah.
as well.
then when you celebrate the win, they think you bragging. It's just like, damn if I do, damn if I don't. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's why you go to therapy. Go. That's all I'm saying.
How important is therapy?
100%. Everything. Everything. Go. to
Why?
therapy.
Like, as two, Charles,
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on therapy?
You need it.
Yeah?
It's important.
So this is
Okay.
like a rare conversation on this show. So
Okay.
I really want to
But
hear your
I was
perspective on
against
why
it.
it's valid.
But I was against it at
Okay,
first.
why was that?
And the reason why, because we grew up telling each other to figure it out. So for so long, I was just figure it out. And not to be like this other than our mothers or somebody like that.
Right.
Don't nobody want to hear your stress or
Or
you
they
understand what I'm
try
saying?
to out-stress you. They'll have like a competition. Well, I'm stressing too.
It
Yeah.
reverts to
Yeah, I'm like, alright,
I'm
alright.
telling you this, and
Yeah.
they're telling me so.
Yeah,
I
like,
think-
you about to one up my struggles. Like, all right.
and we weren't. I know I wasn't. We
Women
weren't
do
talking-
that too, though.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
love having a struggle off with you.
No,
They
like,
will,
seriously,
and then you
seriously.
don't even want to talk about it at that point.
And then also I was scared to go to therapy because I was scared to be vulnerable. Like I didn't like open up because I didn't know I never had to do that before. So like now that I'm in therapy and I'm able to do that shit, it's like, oh, all right, cool. Can't wait till the next therapy session.
Wow.
I can't wait because I got some shit to tell you.
For sure.
So yeah, so I always tell people go to therapy. Please go.
Okay. Malcolm, in your opinion, what's the value
If for nothing else, being able to vocalize like what's going on, because sometimes when you say it, like I'm also a person who like writes everything down. So like sometimes having that moment of clarity of like, okay, that actually did happen. I wasn't tripping. You know what I'm saying? Like that part of my life, like everything is kind of going crazy. Sometimes you do need that checkpoint. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you need that second voice of opinion that is not your friend, not your homie, not
your
somebody,
girl.
not your girl, not somebody that, I don't want to say, like therapy at the end of the day, it's business. It's a business agreement. You know what I'm saying? I'm paying you for a service and I expect to get a service back. Your friends, you could tell them something and you could be vulnerable and open up and they'd be like, all right, cool, that's where you at? Cool, I'm gonna go over here because that's not where I'm at or that's not where I'm trying to be. And that emotional impact can hurt you a lot more versus like, okay, cool, I just went to therapy and dumped everything over here. And you may not know anything about what's going on because I'm coming back to you completely normal. But that's the necessity of it is like you're kind of jumping in one world and out of another, but you're checking yourself at that same time.
And also, I think like something that I realized in therapy is the importance of like road mapping. And so I think that like people who don't go to therapy think that therapy is like a fix-all, right? So I'm gonna talk to this person, they're gonna tell me how to fix my life and fix my problems. And in reality, therapy is really more of a roadmap to how to come to a solution for how to resolve things. So it's not a fix-all. You don't go there for someone to fix you. You go there for someone to make you pose questions to yourself in terms of why you think about it that way, why you might behave that way, what the root causes of that are, where that stems from, and then a path forward potentially. And so I think that like road mapping is important. It's important in every area of your life, whether that's your job, whether that's your creative venture, whether that's your emotional stability. You need a path forward that forces you to ask where it began, how we got here, what are the potential ways to find a method out of that, and then also like if this doesn't go the way that you thought it was going to go, like potential resolution so that you don't lose yourself in the process of trying to move forward. And so I think like I find as a Black woman, I find therapy to be so valuable because I think like a lot of people feel the way that our men do, is that nobody want to hear that shit. You know what I mean? And I think as a woman, you do feel so overwhelmed by your emotions sometimes. And I think women do get an opportunity that a lot of our men don't get to vent, right? To feel your feelings, to sort of like rest in those emotions. But all of that has a time limit, right? Like, even as a woman, getting the opportunity to vent, to share, to feel, and to sit in those emotions, there's a limit on that with everybody you deal with, top to bottom. So I think like that for me is where therapy like came in handy. It's like they don't put a time limit on how long I fucking feel this way.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And I'm allowed to sit in this for as long as I need to until I'm able to work myself through it and to roadmap my way out of it. Whereas even with your friends, though they understand how you feel in a moment, if you still feeling that way in 3 months, now people tired of it.
Right.
And now people don't want to hear that shit from you anymore. Like, man, you still on that? Like,
Nah,
no, bro. Like, yeah, I'm still on that, goddammit. Like, I still feel that shit. And that's, for me, like, where a therapist comes in handy. You know what I mean? And I do feel like I'm so proud of you guys, honestly. I want to make sure I say that. Like, I'm so proud of you guys. Not just for going, but for being willing to, like, have that open-ended conversation. Because, like, I think therapy is something that our people need. But in particular, I think it's something that's super valuable for our men, because so often y'all feel like y'all don't have anybody to talk to. Or if you do talk to people, you're nervous that they're going to turn it against you. Or you have talked to people and they have turned that against you. And so now you're less likely to want to be that open and to want to be that vulnerable, which impacts your ability to communicate overall. Not just like, you know, with your therapist, but with yourself, right? Like with the people that you get involved with, right? The friendships that you carry. So I just want to say, like, I'm super proud of you guys, because it takes a lot to admit that you need it, and then to go, and then to be consistent. You know what I mean? There's levels to all of that. So kudos, guys. I'm super proud of you. Like, when you guys look at, right, because I know Malcolm, and I'm so sorry for your loss of your father, seriously. When you look at kind of like the losses that you suffered overall, whether they were financial, whether they were emotional, like in those moments, right, when you was like down bad, what do you kind of wish was like poured into you? Right? If you had your choice, right? Because that's where therapy comes in, gives you a place to vent, right? Gives you a place to dump. But outside of that, right? If you had your pick of like, this is what I wish someone had poured into me in my lowest moments, what's that look like for you? We start with you, Sid.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think. That's a great ass question. I don't know.
I'm trying to tell this nigga I was good at this. See?
I think all starters need the love, honestly. Just like the handout, like the hugs, just like that. Just to listen. People always listen to like respond. Just listen, just to shut the fuck up and just let me talk. You know what I'm saying? Because at that time, I think 2018 when I really started, I lost my grandmother in 2018, great grandmother, and I was then left out of a bad relationship. So that whole like 2019, I used that as like fire to like go in photography full throttle. That's when I became. That's when I got published a title. That's when I did the event photography. That's when I was like on some like, yeah, don't worry, I don't care. Like, yeah, we're gonna get out of this. We're gonna
come on, Charles.
we're gonna use this and like, yeah, I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna do straight. 6 years later, all that shit is swept under the rug and it just piled up, and I was like, oh, I gotta talk about it. Now I was like, I gotta fix this shit before I can go do what I need to do to move forward. Because now, like I said, 27-year-old me and like 33-year-old me is two completely different people. So now I'm at a point where like, all right, I'm potentially the breadwinner now. I'm the one who's like, gotta do it. So I gotta make sure I'm straight. Because now, like, you know what I'm saying, I got a little brother that looks up to me, and my mom looks up to me. I got friendships, you know what I'm saying, I want to value. I got a relationship and all that other shit. So it's like, I want to like,
and you can't pour from there.
yeah, make sure I'm gonna be the perfect person. Like, not even the perfect person. Like, I'm okay enough mentally and spiritually and financially to make sure, like, all right, I keep going on this path. I can't keep doing the same shit I was doing in 2018. You know what I'm saying? So,
for sure. Charles, worst moment. What do you wish?
Understanding that I had to take care of me. So I'm constantly the one that everyone calls. Whatever they need, because I'm always going to help.
right.
I'm not giving you no bill.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you you owe me money. If you need me, I got you. You want me to plug you with this person, I got you. Because I'm just trying to help people. So subconsciously, I'm not thinking, my other peer charge you for this. But I'm literally making a call and making this happen for you in 5 minutes.
Right.
Because I'm not thinking. But then I realized when I took a loss, those same people weren't around anymore. So I had to really learn how to take care of me because, and now what, I had to learn how to be selfish, and I've never been selfish in my life. To the point where it got lonely because I had to realize, okay, these are my friends. These really weren't my friends. These are the people who, you know, they just want something. So essentially, it was a dark place, but I had to go through it to be a better person. My best friend died of COVID, you know, so literally the last call we had was, man, don't fucking get COVID. We were laughing about it. And then, like, that was the joke.
Right.
Like, he's outside. I'm like, man, don't get COVID.
Thanks
man.
a lot, Rudy Gobert.
You know. Yeah.
No.
But long story short, you know, he died. And then dealing with that, dealing with promises we made to each other in case something happened to one of us.
Right.
And like, you look at it like, damn, now I got to make sure I'm really there for his mom.
Right.
Because his mom was like my mom. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And then how do I do that when I'm going through a loss myself? Trying to figure out how can I be there for her, how can I be there for everyone else, and then taking loss. I lost clients. I'm dealing with issues with artists, and as a manager, if you know being a manager, we're always the blame. It don't matter what you do as a manager.
That's true.
You are the blame.
Shout out to Hustle Simmons,
You know what I mean? Like, the sun can shine the wrong way, and it's your fault. So, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. And like I said, I just had to learn that. Take care of yourself. Take care of your mental, because I was taking care of so many other people that I was neglecting myself for years. And so many people would ask me, are you okay? And I never realized why they were asking me that. Like, my friends were always asking me, you all right? Because, yeah, you doing well, but are you okay?
Right.
And I think those were the signs of them trying to, like, help me early on. And then when it crashed, I really had to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, more or less just taking care of yourself. And once you can take care of yourself, you can go ahead and then you can be a vessel to help others again. And for a while, I just had to remove myself from certain situations, like, because it wasn't healthy to me. Because you can help everyone. But at the end of the day, when you need help, those same people are not going to always be there. And that don't mean they're bad people. I had to really understand that. So they're not bad people, but they don't know how to help you, if that makes sense. And I think that's when I really got to a place of understanding, when it was, I'm not mad at you because you didn't help. I don't even think you know how to help. You know?
For sure. Malcolm, lowest moments. What do you wish was poured into you?
I think at the moment that it happened, it's too late. So for me, it's like that honesty up front. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're honest up front and you say like, hey, look, bro, we just trying to make money. We just trying to get to the bag. Forget all the feelings, all that. Cool. I'm gonna go deal with what I gotta deal with in therapy. I'm gonna take my low moment to myself and deal with it. And that way, I'm not gonna have to feel that, you know, confusion on the back end of like, man, like,
Or that abandonment.
yeah, like, I thought y'all was with me. You know what I'm saying? But I think that is probably the biggest thing, is like having that honesty or having that clarity, having that transparency is probably the best thing, so that you don't leave out the situation feeling even more confused of like, okay, cool, I'm isolating myself, I'm taking time to go to therapy, I'm not going out and doing parties. Like when we started doing when they started doing Joy Club at Alice, I wasn't there for like months because like I was still like, bro, going outside doesn't really make sense to me right now. Because there's not really a lot I can offer or give, and it took months to get back to that place. And once I finally, it's taken years now. Once I finally somewhat got comfortable with it, it's like I'm somewhat by myself. But this is a complete aside point. But when you asked the question that kind of, you know, connected it for me, it was something that I learned years ago in college. You know what I'm saying? I was an art major in college. I had an art theory course that changed my life, Professor Richard Klein. He had this one weird way of teaching to where he would just go up and have a conversation, and that would be the class. But he got to a point where he just had this one conversation about suicide. And he was just like, you know what? If for nothing else, don't ever do it, because you'll never be able to explain to your friends why. You can completely understand, and it completely can make sense to you. However, for the person that, you know, might be at the funeral, the person that might, you know, live on, they'll never get an answer, they'll never understand. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, I've been I feel like on the other side of it, just in transparency. I had a crazy suicide attempt before like the last Khalifa show, just because there was a lot going on. Like that was when everything went bad. But now on the flip side of it, when it's just like, all right, cool. If I had the honesty up front of like, hey, look, bro, we was just here for this. We just wanted to kick it, and when things were good, when the parties were good, when the money was good, when everything was nice, I don't get the explanation on the back end of like, okay, this is why you moved away. Because every reason to me as to you moving away when I'm trying to better myself is never going to make sense. You feel me? So it's just one of those things. It's just like if you have that relationship up front where people can be brutally honest and just say, all right, cool, this is a business relationship. These are not really your friends. These are just people that you work well with. That can make all the difference to when you are going through that bad time, because you at least have the parachute for your own self and your own emotional intelligence to say, you know what, I know what to expect out of this group of people or this group of friends or this group of business associates, versus like I know what I need for myself and I know what to expect out of myself when I'm in that period of time of like I need to isolate myself.
Wow.
I think that's a perfect place to end the show today.
Actually, one more. I'm gonna say sorry. I wore these for a specific reason. I don't know if you remember.
I remember. I was talking to my boyfriend about that in the car. Decided not to bring it up. I prayed about it. We're good.
No, I want to say sorry. I'm gonna say what I did. I wilded out. I don't remember how old I was, but I was wilding, and I'm sorry.
It's okay. We're all right. We all right. We all right. And on that note, we're going to get out of here, man. I really, really, really appreciate you guys coming out and having an open and an honest and a vulnerable conversation with me today. I'm super thankful. I'm trying not to cry. I'm overly emotional. I'm a girl, so. But I'm so thankful for this conversation today. We're going to go around the room, let you guys give out your socials one more time, and we're going to get out of here. We're going to start with you, Sid.
All right, so Twitter, VividDope, VIVIDDOPE, Instagram, Sid Vivid. If you know Wizards at Babylon, no person, send me the picture. You know, don't be shy.
All right. Keys Open Doors 81.
Malcolm _X on everything except TikTok. On TikTok, it's Malcolm XER.
And of course, I'm your host at Mia Was Here, 5 underscores. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter at You Weren't There Podcast. We love you. We appreciate you. We thank y'all for tuning in for yet another week, and we'll see you soon. God bless y'all and good night.